In top-down parsing, we start the derivation from starting symbol capital S, and during the course of the derivation, we try to obtain the given string, and if we are successful in obtaining the given string, we say that the parsing is successful and there is no syntax error. In every step of the derivation, in top-down parsing, we are expanding the leftmost variable. So if I look at this sentential form, capital A is the leftmost variable. In order to obtain the next sentential form, this capital A will be expanded using some production of the variable capital A. If the situation is simple, then from capital A, I have single production. In this case, since I have single production available for the variable capital A, so whenever capital A is to be expanded, I have single choice available, so it is to be expanded using this production only. So there is no decision making, there is only single choice available. On the other hand, if I have a situation like this, from capital A I have two production, capital A derives alpha 1 and capital A derives alpha 2. Now here, when parser has to expand capital A, it has to decide whether to use the first production or to use the second production for expanding the capital A. So here there is decision making involved. If I look at the grammar given in the scenario 1, this is simple in the sense that there is no decision making, and the reason behind this is from every variable I have single production, so whenever a variable is to be expanded, there is only single choice available, so it has to use that production only for expansion. On the other hand, if I look at the grammar given in the scenario 2, from the variable capital S, I have two productions available, capital S derives alpha 1 and capital S derives alpha 2. So now if I start the derivation from capital S, a parser has to now decide whether to use first production for expanding capital S and expand it to alpha 1, or to use the second production for expanding capital S and expand it to alpha 2. If I use first production for expanding capital S to alpha 1, our assumption is that the given string is derivable from alpha 1. On the other hand, if I use second production for expanding the capital S, that is alpha 2, our assumption is that the given string is derivable from alpha 2. So if the parser doesn't know whether the given string is derivable from alpha 1 or it is derivable from alpha 2, what it can do is it can try each option one by one. So let's say it first of all tries the first option and expand capital S to alpha 1. So it is assuming that the given string is derivable from alpha 1. Now if it is derivable from alpha 1, then in that case after some time the given string will be obtained. On the other hand, if it is not derivable from alpha 1, then during some step of the derivation, it will realize that it has made the wrong decision, and now it has to backtrack. So all this step that was done, this has to be undone, backtracking will be done. I'll come back to the first step and expand the capital S to alpha 2. And if the string is derivable from alpha 2, ultimately the string will be obtained during the course of the derivation. So if I follow this approach, then in that case there is backtracking. If I make the wrong choice during the derivation, then in that case I have to backtrack and do a lot of steps and try another choice. When I build a parser using this approach, where there may be backtracking, then in that case we call the parser to be recursive descent parser. We call the parser to be the recursive descent parser. If there is a recursive descent parser in which there is no backtracking, then in that case we say that it is we call it predictive parser. So a class of recursive descent parser in which there is no backtracking, we call it predictive parser. How can we avoid backtracking? When it is at the first step, I have if capital is to be expanded using alpha 1, our assumption is that the given string is derivable from alpha 1. Can parser decide whether the given string is derivable from alpha 1 or not? I have talked about two functions, first and follow, in the previous lecture, and now you can say on the basis of that if the first of alpha 1 is matching with the first terminal symbol in the given string, or the given string is beginning from the terminal symbol which is there in the first of alpha 1, I can say that this string is derivable from alpha 1. The same thing can be said about alpha 2 also. So by calculating the first and by examining the first input symbol of the given string, I'll be able to predict whether it is derivable from first production or it is derivable from the second production, and accordingly I can make choice, and in this case there will not be any backtracking required. Recursive descent parsing is a general form of top-down parsing, and we discussed the basic idea of this in the previous slide. Now we'll discuss implementation of recursive descent parsing. Implementation is done in form of set of functions, and we write a function corresponding to each non-terminal which is there in the grammar. So for example, if I have the grammar like this, capital S derives capital A capital B, and capital A derives, for example, a small a capital A, and capital A is also deriving a small b, and from capital B I am deriving a small d, a very simple grammar. How many variables that we have in this grammar? We have three variables. We have three non-terminals, capital S, capital A, and capital B, and for each non-terminal we'll write a function. So that means we'll write a function for non-terminal S, and this is the body of the function, and we'll write a function for the non-terminal A, and similarly we'll write a function for the non-terminal B. So for every non-terminal which is there in the grammar, we'll write a function. The body of the function is written on the basis of the production. So the body of the function corresponding to the non-terminal S will be written on the basis of this production. Similarly, the definition of the function corresponding to the non-terminal A will be written on the basis of these two production, and same is the case for the function capital B. Now we'll take example and we'll see the implementation of recursive descent parsing. Let's look at the implementation of a recursive descent parser for a very simple grammar. Capital S derives a small a, small b, capital A, and capital A is deriving a small d. So there are only two production in this grammar. This grammar has two variables. So in the implementation of recursive descent parser, there will be a function corresponding to the variable capital S, and there will be a function corresponding to the variable capital A. This is the function for the variable capital S, and this is the function for the variable capital A. We have to understand the purpose of each of this function. The purpose of the function corresponding to the variable capital A is to accept the string which is derivable from capital A. If this function accepts a string which is derivable from capital A, then this function will return true. On the other hand, this function, if it fails to accept the string which is derivable from capital A, then this function will return false. Similarly, this function, purpose of this function is to accept the string which is derivable from capital S, and if it successfully accepts a string which is derivable from capital S, this function will return true. Otherwise, this function will return false. Capital S is the starting variable, so we are giving call to this function in the main. So if you look at the code over here, we are giving call to the function capital S, and if this function returns true, it means that parser successfully obtained the string which is derivable from capital S, so it is printing the message parsing is successful. If this function is returning false, it means that parser failed to obtain the string which is derivable from capital S, so it is printing the message that there is error in the input string. Let us now understand as to how we have written these functions. This function has been written on the basis of the production of capital S. I have only one production, so this function has been written on the basis of this. If you look at this function, here I am using a variable CSP, which stands for current symbol pointer. The input string that we are parsing resides in a buffer, and whatever character symbol that is being scanned in the buffer is being pointed by CSP. So initially CSP is pointing to the first symbol which is there in the buffer. As we process the symbol, this pointer will be advanced to the next item. So CSP stands for current symbol pointer. In this production, anything which is derivable from this production will begin with a small a, followed by this there will be a string derivable from capital A, followed by this there will be small b, and followed by this there will be a string derivable from capital A. A string derivable from capital A will be accepted by the function capital A, and a string derivable from this capital A will be accepted by once again the function capital A. So first of all, we are checking if the current symbol is a small a, then we are advancing the current symbol pointer to the next item, and we are giving call to the function capital A. This function will accept the string which is derivable from capital A, and if it successfully obtains the string which is derivable from capital A, this function will return true. Then we'll check whether the next symbol is a small b. If it is, we advance the current symbol pointer to the next item, and we once again give call to the function capital A corresponding to this one. And if this function returns true, so parser successfully obtained the string which is derivable from capital A, then we are returning true from the function capital S. So parser successfully obtained the string which is derivable from capital S. If any of the condition is false and will come over here, that will indicate that the input is erroneous, it cannot be derived from the variable capital S, so we are returning false. Similarly, let's look at the function for the variable capital A. There is only one production, and that production is also very simple. We are accepting only a small d from the variable capital A. So we are checking whether current symbol pointer is pointing to d, then we are advancing the pointer and we are returning true. If that is not the case, then we are returning false. Parser failed to obtain the string which is derivable from capital A. So this is an implementation of a recursive descent parser for a very simple grammar. At this point, let us try to understand one more point, and the point is when we are accepting the string derivable from this production, we have checked whether the current symbol is small a, then we are expecting the string which is derivable from capital A, and we give call to the function capital A in order to accept the string which is derivable from capital A. But we are also remembering that after this we have to check for a small b, and after this we have to check for once again the string which is derivable from capital A. So where are we remembering the information that after this we have to check for a small b, and after this we have to look for the string which is derivable from capital A? This information is being maintained in the function caller stack. So from capital S, when I give call to the function capital A, whatever information about this invocation is saved in the function caller stack. So when I return from the function capital A, activation record block corresponding to this invocation is restored, and we resume. So information like this is maintained in the function caller stack. In the previous example, we had single production for each variable. Remember that in a single production scenario, there is no decision making. Parser has got only one choice, so the situation is simple. Now we'll take the example where we have more than one production for a variable. So let's consider this grammar. If you look at this grammar for the variable capital S, I have two production, capital S derives capital A and capital S derives capital B. The string that we are parsing resides in a buffer, and this buffer is pointed by a pointer which we are calling CSP or current symbol pointer. For the time being, let us assume that this buffer is holding the string which is derivable from the variable capital B. So recall the idea that we discussed about the recursive descent parser. We start the derivation from capital S, and from capital S I have two production, capital S derives capital A and capital S derives capital B. First of all, we'll apply the first production. If we succeed in accepting the string derivable from the first production, it's okay. If we fail to accept the string which is derivable from the first production, then we'll apply the second production. So this is what we do. So let's assume that first of all we apply the first production and we expand the capital S to capital A. In the implementation of recursive descent parser, this is equivalent to giving call to the function capital A. When I give call to the function capital A will try to accept the string which is derivable from capital A, and in the process it will be advancing the pointer to some other location. So it is quite possible that before the call to the function capital A, CSP was pointing here. After giving call to the function capital A, this CSP has got moved to some other location, for example. And let's also assume that capital A failed to accept the string which is derivable from the variable capital A. So it returns false. When it returns false, now I must try the second option, that I must try whether the given string is derivable from the capital B. But at this stage, CSP has already moved to some other location. So when I try the second option, I must undo everything that we did when I gave call to the function capital A. So what we'll have to do is, before giving call to the function capital A, I will be saving the parsing state somewhere. So let us assume that that variable where we are saving the parsing state is PS. So before giving call to the function capital A, I am saving the parsing state in the PS. Parsing state means location of the current symbol pointer or any other information which is denoting the state of the parser. And if I successfully obtain the string which is derivable from capital A, I will return true from the function capital S. If it returns false, so parser did not succeed in obtaining the string derivable from capital A, then it must try the second option. But before it tries the second option, it must undo everything. In order to undo everything, I restore the parsing state from the variable PS, and then I give call to the function capital P. So this is what I am doing if there are more than one production for a variable, and this is what will happen in case of the recursive descent parser.